Let us get started. You will have the opportunity to ask questions during this webinar. Please feel free to use the chat icon. You can see the icon on the bottom of your Zoom webinar, and we are happily to answer your question during the webinar or also directly by answering your question in the chat. My name is Lisa Stöger. I'm the lead program manager of the Enterprise Europe Network Austria at FFG, the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, and I'm happy to guide you through this webinar for an hour and 15 minutes, and we will have some great information for you prepared, how to expand to the US market. So, in part one of this webinar, we will learn everything about the gateway to the US market. You will receive important information about the 10th SelectUSA Investment Summit taking place in June, and also the complementary mentoring program Select Global Women in Tech. In the second part of this webinar, you will receive information about how to get there. So the funding roadmap, how to fund your US expansion, and also how to receive further support through programs for your US expansion. And at the end, there will be some time for open questions if you haven't already asked them within the chat function. So let's get started. And we have an exciting announcement in this webinar as well. So everyone who participates in this webinar has the chance to win a free ticket for this year's SelectUSA Investment Summit. You can win a free ticket for the SelectUSA Investment Summit by filling out a short application form, which is an online questionnaire. We will send you this online questionnaire at the end of this webinar, and we will also share the link in the chat. And the 5 best applicants get invited to the online pitch on May 6th. And on May 6th, you have the chance to present your company and also your US expansion plans within 4 minutes to the jury. And the jury selects the winner, who will win a free ticket worth $1,290 US. Who can apply for the SelectUSA Investment Summit? All companies headquartered in Austria and Slovenia. This is our cooperation partner for this webinar. And all companies developing innovative technology products or services and looking to the United States market for expansion within the next 2 to 3 years. You will receive an email with all the information and the admission criteria after the webinar, and we look forward to your applications. So now let's get started with further information of the US market and part 1. And for our welcoming words and opening remarks, I hand over to Senior Commercial Counselor of the US Commercial Service, Ken Walsh.
Great. Thanks so much, Lisa. And greetings from the US Embassy in Vienna. Welcome to today's webinar, Gateway to the US Market. As Lisa mentioned, my name is Ken Walsh. I'm the head of the commercial section at the US Embassy here. Now, the role, of course, at U.S. embassies here in Austria and anywhere is to increase the bilateral ties that bring our 2 nations together. The commercial section, of course, focuses on deepening commercial and business-to-business relationships. So the commercial section is run by the U.S. Department of Commerce through the U.S. Commercial Service. And the Commercial Service is a network of offices and embassies and consulates in 75 countries and 100 offices in cities throughout the United States. And we have 2 primary goals. The first, of course, is to help U.S. exports of products and services. But the second, and more importantly for this group, is to help U.S. foreign firms, invest in the United States. Investment includes opening up a factory, building a warehouse, or opening a sales office, or setting up a business or research location, which is probably more appropriate to the people on this webinar. We promote investment into the U.S. through a program called SelectUSA. SelectUSA offers services to help foreign investors with their decisions to enter into the U.S. In a few moments, later on in this webinar, you'll hear details about the SelectUSA program and our services to investors, including through the Select Global Women in Tech program. So Glad to have those experts on the webinar today. My colleague, Robbie Saliega, who you'll also hear from today, she and I cover Austria and Slovenia. But if you are from another country on this call, on this webinar, I'll stop using the phone metaphor in a little while. We're happy to connect you with our colleagues in those countries. Just drop us a line, you'll have our contact information. We'll be happy to connect you. Now, before we begin with the webinar, I want to thank our key partners for today's event. Advantage Austria, USA, the Enterprise Europe Network Austria, FFG, the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, Standort Agentur Tirol, and EIT Health. Thanks so much to our partners. And thank you so much for participating in today's webinar. We look forward to working with you and all of our partners in the future. Thank you. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Ken, for your opening remarks. So what is the SelectUSA Investment Summit? What is the Select Global Women in Tech Mentoring Program all about? I'm happy to have two experts here today, Christine and Erin, and they are going to present you everything about the SelectUSA Investment Summit. So up to Christine and Erin.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's great to be with you all today and talk with you a little bit about our SelectUSA and Select Global Women in Tech and SelectUSA Tech programs. I think Erin is going to screen share for us. We'll give that a second just to get loaded up. There we go. So as Ken briefly mentioned, SelectUSA is the federal level program within the US government that is dedicated to facilitating job-creating investment into the United States. And we do that by raising awareness of the critical role that economic development plays in the US economy. So we primarily serve two clients, foreign companies that are looking to expand into the United States, and that includes technology startups, as well as economic development organizations at the state, local, regional, and tribal level all over the United States. Thus far, our impact has been creating over $200 billion in investment and creating and/or retaining over 200,000 US jobs. So we're really proud of the impact that we've made in supporting our clients and facilitating job creating investment into the US. Next slide, please. So SelectUSA has a number of services available for what we call investors. Those are the foreign companies looking to enter the US market. And we bucket them into three general groupings. A platform for connections. What that looks like is direct and personalized introductions to those economic development organizations that we also serve, connections into federal resource networks, including other federal agencies that have programs for foreign companies looking to enter the US market. And then a number of SelectUSA events, webinars, workshops, including events that are held in market, as well as virtual events, and of course, the annual SelectUSA Investment Summit, which we'll talk more about as we go through the presentation. We also provide information, counseling, and customized data services. This can look like reports, publications, fact sheets, and then we have a product called the Investor Guide, which is available on our website and serves as kind of an initial guide for your US expansion journey. And we have a number of directories and data tools available. So we have directories of economic development organizations, service providers. We have different data tools on workforce data, state incentive programs, and what we call our state FDI database. And then there's also a directory for navigating federal programs and agencies. So foreign tech startups benefit from all of these services that I just mentioned, plus a series of tech-specific programs and events, which Erin will talk a little bit more about. Over to you.
Thank you, Christine. So we'll talk about those programs, SelectUSA Tech and Select Global Women in Tech. So these two programs are focused on international tech startups that are planning to expand into the United States within the next 2 to 3 years. These programs, as Christine mentioned, offer unique opportunities and benefits only available to the international tech startups. As you can see here, there is criteria for startups to engage in the SelectUSA Tech program. First off, they must be headquartered outside the United States, developing innovative technology products and/or services, and again, looking to expand to the United States within the next 2 to 3 years. And then below, as you can see, you also must meet at least one of the following criteria, that being either 0 to 10 years old, or 0 to 40 employees, or $0 to $10 million in annual revenue. There is, in addition to SelectUSA's traditional services, startups receive benefits such as year-round events, which includes in-market pitching sessions, as Lisa mentioned. They will be offering one in the next few weeks. They are also held throughout different markets, typically in the October to May timeframe. And there are informational workshops and webinars that are exclusive to SelectUSA Tech startups. Then within the state FDI database that we offer, there are specific tech filters that can be used. After the 2024 Investment Summit concludes, US Startup Ecosystem members will now be searchable in the Service Provider and US Startup Ecosystem Directory. The 4 new searchable services are Startup Accelerator, Startup Incubator, Startup Venture Financing, and Startup Financing Other. Again, this will be available after the 2024 Investment Summit concludes. And then, of course, we have our annual Investment Summit, where a large, important part of the SelectUSA Tech program happens. This is where we are able to bring the startups and our US Startup Ecosystem members together, which we'll talk a little bit more further in the presentation. But on site, we do have sessions and workshops that are tech-focused, pitching sessions, and networking dedicated to SelectUSA Tech. And then lastly, a benefit for SelectUSA Tech startups is our Select Global Women in Tech Mentorship Network, which is also known as SQUIT, which I'll hand off to Christine to dive into.
Thank you so much, Erin. So as you can see on this slide, this is just the mission statement for our SQUIT program, which just aims to promote American competitiveness and technology leadership in emerging technology sectors to spur economic growth and support women's economic empowerment globally. So if you want to hit the next slide. Under the umbrella of SelectUSA, we provide services to support tech startups in their US expansion efforts and create the space for those startups to make connections to the US startup ecosystem, as Erin just mentioned. And specifically, our SQUIT Mentorship Network is a year-long program that formally launches at the Investment Summit and offers all participants access to an experienced mentor from the US startup ecosystem as an informational resource on challenges they may face in scaling, promoting, fundraising, and establishing a business in the United States. We also have an exclusive networking platform where participants can connect within the SQUIT community. Our mentees receive SelectUSA's data and counseling services, as well as the other services we mentioned throughout the presentation. And then we offer educational content, webinars, workshops, and virtual events, and other networking opportunities, including but not limited to on-site at the SelectUSA Investment Summit. So there are some events that are exclusively available for participants in this mentorship network. As you can see on the left side of the screen, you have some of the basics. So mentees within this program are SelectUSA startup participants who identify as women. They meet that criteria that Erin mentioned a little earlier in the presentation. And in this 2024 cohort that will kick off in June, participants will be grouped into pods for group mentoring and informational support on an as-needed basis throughout the year-long program. So interested candidates in the SQUIT Mentorship Network can indicate their interest in the Investment Summit application, and we'll share a little bit more information on that on the next slide. The application does include more information about how to express interest in a one-on-one mentorship opportunity, including recommendations about the job roles and company stages that may benefit from this offering. The one-on-one mentorship does include a commitment to hold at least 6 meetings over 12 months. So sorry, Erin, I tricked you. I wasn't quite ready, but I am ready for the next slide now. Thank you. So the SelectUSA Investment Summit, you've heard about quite a bit throughout this presentation. It will be held June 23rd to the 26th at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center in National Harbor, Maryland. And on the next slide, we just have some high-level overview about what to expect. So the SelectUSA Investment Summit is the highest profile event in the United States to facilitate business investment by connecting thousands of investors, companies, economic development organizations, and industry experts to make deals happen. Hosted by the U.S. Department of Commerce, the Investment Summit is a one-stop shop for companies considering expanding to the United States. And it provides EDOs with the opportunity to meet directly with international companies to facilitate investment deals. Since inception, SelectUSA Investment Summits have attracted thousands of international companies and economic development representatives, generating over $98 billion in new investment projects and supporting more than 81,000 jobs across the United States and its territories. Previous SelectUSA Investment Summit last year saw record-breaking numbers with more than 4,900 participants, including EDO representatives from 55 states and territories, and over 2,300 business investors from 83 international markets. So Erin is going to talk a little bit more about the opportunities on site at the Investment Summit for tech startups. But before we move on to the next slide, I just want to flag the two testimonials you see here from startups and our US startup ecosystem representatives who spoke about their experiences at recent SelectUSA Investment Summits. And over to you, Erin.
Thank you, Christine. So as Christine mentioned, there are a lot of opportunities for programming on site at the Investment Summit. So I will go into those a little bit in more detail. So we do offer industry pitching sessions, which are aligned to the U.S. critical supply chain sectors. This year, the selected sector topics are clean tech, which relates to EV, advanced batteries, renewable energy, clean energy, health tech, which also includes med tech, which relates to APIs, ICT software, which can relate to semiconductors and broadband, and open tech, which will offer flexibility for those startups interested in pitching who may not fit into one of the categories above. So it's just an open category. There will be 2 pitching sessions of each industry topic offered. And between these pitching sessions, there will be an industry-focused networking event. Then the winners of the industry pitching sessions will compete in the World Finals pitching session, which takes place on the exhibition hall stage. Pitching sessions require an application submission, which is due by May 17th. We also offer academy sessions with a tech focus. This year, they are the U.S. expansion and fundraising Q&A, joining an accelerator and incubator, global tech landscape, and targeting the right venture capital in the United States. We will also have 2 workshops, U.S. expansion and fundraising workshop, which will be a continuation of the Q&A session, and then the peer-to-peer workshop, which will be a facilitated session for participants to help one another refine and elevate their oral pitch, share recommendations, and of course, learn from one another. Both of these workshops do require pre-registration. There also will be exclusive programming for the Select Global Women in Tech Mentorship Network participants. And as mentioned, there will be an industry-focused networking event in between the pitching sessions. In addition to these events, there will be networking opportunities available in the SelectUSA Tech Pavilion in the exhibition hall and the SelectUSA Show App. The SelectUSA Show App is the Investment Summit platform tool, which allows you to schedule meetings ahead of the Investment Summit with registered and approved attendees. That way you can get to know one another and connect prior to arriving on site at the Investment Summit and schedule meetings there as well. And then as you can see here, you will see what all registered and approved Investment Summit attendees receive access to, such as the exhibition hall, focus sessions, workshops, and networking receptions, plenary sessions, etc. An added benefit for SelectUSA Tech registrants is if you meet all of the program criteria, you would be eligible for a discounted registration rate of $775 US. And if you do not meet all the criteria for the registration discount, you are still able to apply as a SelectUSA Tech registrant and receive access to everything we mentioned prior. However, you would be responsible for paying the rate that is available at that time, such as right now it is $1,290 US, and that's available until June 21st, until it rises in price again. And then when you are applying, you're able to express your interest in the pitching session application, along with the Select Global Women in Tech Mentorship Network. And again, this is all through your Investment Summit attendee application. And both of those opportunities are at no additional cost. This benefit is exclusive to our SelectUSA Tech participants. And again, you must apply and be approved to attend the Investment Summit in order to participate in both of the programs. And I'll pause there to see if Christine has anything additional to add.
Just to echo that the deadline for the Select Global Women in Tech program aligns to the deadline for the pitching application. So May 17th is the deadline for both the pitching application and the Select Global Women in Tech application. Thanks, Erin.
And then just a reminder, the Investment Summit is June 23rd through 26th, 2024, and it's at the Gaylord Resort and Convention Center in National Harbor, Maryland. With that, I'll pass it back to Lisa.
Thank you very much, Christine and Erin, for outlining the SelectUSA Investment Summit. So definitely to all the participants listening today, mark your calendars, June 23rd to June 26th. It's a great opportunity to start off with your US expansion and how the Select Global Women in Tech program looks like in detail. We will discuss it now. I'm happy to have Robbie and Dagmar with here. Dagmar is one of our alumni from the Select Global Women in Tech program, and Robbie from the US Commercial Service, together with Dagmar, will give you further details on the program. I hand over to Robbie and Dagmar.
Thank you, Lisa. So so I'm Robbie Saliega. Again, I'm a commercial specialist at the U.S. Commercial Service here at the U.S. Embassy with our commercial counsel, Ken Walsh. And I'm here with Dagmar Dvorakova from an Austrian company who will share firsthand about her experience taking part in the SelectUSA Summit, and as well as participating in the Select Global Women in Tech program last year. So thank you, Dagmar, for taking the time to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Hello, good afternoon to everyone.
So let's start with our interview. So Dagmar, so you are from the company Aquilia Group. So your company is active in the healthcare sector, developing business concepts, models, and service lines. And with your goal of growing internationally, you decided to join our SelectUSA Investment Summit last year, which has helped your business expand in the US. And in addition to your summit participation, you also applied for our Select Global Women in Tech mentoring program and was selected to join as a mentee. So my first question to you is, what was your motivation to apply for the summit and for the program itself?
Robbie, thank you so much for the nice introduction. Thank you so much for having me today. Actually, I'm in international business several years, and I have the privilege to do a lot of interesting market entries already. On the other hand, one of my new targets some time ago was to enter the US market, right? And so I was searching for the best tools, I was searching for the best options, I was searching for connections and for platforms and everything, right? And I was introduced that time to the SelectUSA Summit. So I saw that this is a very interesting opportunity to meet people, to get more familiar with the US market, and also to get additional connections. So this was actually my main target, why I said yes, let's fly DC again and let's take part there. Of course, I'm trying when I'm taking part on some programs really to somehow see what can I do, right? To use all the potential programs, to use the time properly and efficiently. So I saw and got the opportunity also to be part of the Select Global Women in Tech. And I thought that this is a very good opportunity to get additional connections, and so this was the background. And so during my whole setting up of my attendance in the SelectUSA Summit as part of the Austrian delegation, so I also applied for Select Global Women in Tech because it's a fascinating program.
That's fantastic, Dagmar. So now my next question to you is, so when you started with the Select Global Women in Tech program, specifically that program, because it doesn't start at the summit and ends at the summit. So it was kind of like an ongoing program for you last year. Was it a challenge to do it at the same time as you were managing your company? So many of our participants here, might be asking how, was it a big adjustment for you in terms of the time that you have dedicated to, to being part of that program?
Robbie, this is a very good question, and I can also understand that, of course, people are concerning their schedules because time is very precious. On the other hand, I have to say that in opposite, the whole participation in the program was like part of doing business, right? Because if you want to enter a new market, if you want to make new connections, if you want to explore new opportunities too. So anyhow, you have to be in business development, you have to talk to people, you have to talk to the market. So I would say that in opposite, this is a very efficient way how to do that because you already like being part of the Select Global Women in Tech Network and also SelectUSA. So you get a lot of connection opportunities which are targeted. So I would say in opposite that it's a very efficient way how to use time. And I would like to confirm that although running businesses, so it's manageable because of course there are some one-to-one meetings. There are also some group meetings and opportunities to meet, of course, also in DC in person, because there is also a very nice kickoff of the program there. So definitely manageable.
That's great. So it's good for our audience to know about, that kind of, commitment is actually manageable. So my next question to you, Dagmar. So really thinking back about your experience, maybe just to, share with us, I know you talked about, the networking opportunities, the great connections that you've had there. Would you share any, any further, good benefits that you gain from your participation in the summit and also in the Select Global Women in Tech program?
Absolutely, because during the SelectUSA, so you have the opportunity to get familiar with the US market. And what I mean concretely, so those are like all the states who are present there. So you get also familiar with or support with the whole, I want to call it like legal situation, with the concrete kind of benefits and also the business ecosystems of each state, right? So when you visit SelectUSA, so you have the opportunity to save a lot of time because you would have to travel across the states. Because
Exactly.
so I think it's a very efficient way how to get familiar with the business ecosystem, because there are a lot of people who really like are open there to give advice, to share their kind of USPs, to open doors. So I think what would be my advice, just to use that and talk to people, right? So this is definitely a very highly valuable benefit, I would say, for all the participants who are there. From the Select Global Women in Tech, actually, I think it's great when you know that you have the opportunity to call to people literally across the globe. Because till now, based on the former program, so I'm in touch with people, of course, in US anyhow, but also in Asia, in Africa, across Europe. So this is something where a lot of other also future participants can benefit from, my opinion. And definitely, I would like also to encourage to use the opportunity and to proactively explore chances.
That's great. That's great. So maybe, I could ask you so many questions. It's so interesting to hear your experience, coming from last year's summit. But maybe just a last question. So could you think, I know you already gave our audience like, one or two advices, but maybe, could you share or give them a few more advices as they consider, participating in, joining the summit and the Select Global Women in Tech program? Any more advice from you, Dagmar?
Absolutely, with pleasure. I will start actually with the business ecosystem, because I would like also from My experience would like to confirm that USA is a very attractive market, right? So it is important actually to figure out options there. So I would like to encourage to explore this market, because this is the beginning, right, of the decision for every company, for every manager, entrepreneur. So this is one thing where I can really, I see a business ecosystem which is open for new connections, which is open to negotiate very like straightforward, which I think, yeah, a lot of advantages actually. Absolutely, if someone says, okay, yes, I would like to be active there on the US market, so I would like to encourage to use the opportunity to join the delegation for SelectUSA. Because from my experience, I can really confirm that it's worth because you get a lot of not only, of course, connections, because business is also about connections, but also understanding about the market and a lot of very useful advice. And I would also of course encourage to take the time to go the extra application also for the Select Global Women in Tech. You know that for me, the whole agenda for like about empowerment of female talents and leadership and so on is very important. So, and I can see the very positive kind of results, and also the whole power of the network. So definitely, I would encourage all the people who are here in the call considering and thinking of participating. So participate, and also encourage to, if I put my email address in the background, in the virtual background, so you can also connect me if you have some additional questions and want to have additional kind of feedback from a company and from a lady who was there.
Thank you, Dagmar. Thank you for giving that great advice to join our SelectUSA Summit, also apply for the mentoring program. So great. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, Dagmar. You have been a great advocate for our SelectUSA programs, and especially our annual investment summit. So just to share with everyone, Dagmar will again be a part of our Austrian delegation to the summit this year. So Dagmar, we look forward to having you at the summit again. And we are pleased to assist you as you grow your business in the US. So with that, thank you, Dagmar. And now back to you, Lisa.
Robbie, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And thank you so much to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robbie. Thank you very much, Dagmar, for your hands-on insights. So sounds definitely like an ultimate exclusive opportunity to really start in the US market. And now, as we have seen, where it's a great start point for your US expansion, we also want to give you some information on how to fund your expansion plans. So what are the services in Austria for innovative companies when they are thinking of expanding to the US market? In the second half of this webinar, this is unfortunately only available for Austrian companies. So thank you very much for all international companies and participants visiting this webinar. And for the Austrian companies and entrepreneurs, you can be excited for our next three speakers. We will start first with Adele from Außenwirtschaft Austria, Advantage Austria, giving some insights on the Go International funding opportunities. We will go next to the Außenwirtschaft Center New York, Victoria Liedl. She will give you some information about a great expansion program as well. And last but not least, Victoria Fink from Standortagentur Tirol, giving you all the services complementary to your expansion plans by the Enterprise Europe network. But first off, we start with Adele. I hand over to Adele.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you very much for the really great interview. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present Go International in this forum. Go International is the largest export promotion program here in Austria, and it's run by the Federal Ministry of Economics together with the Chamber of with the Austrian Federal Economic Chamber. That's actually the place where I work. My name is Adele Czechal, and in our team, I'm responsible for part of the direct grants that are part of our program. I will talk about them a little bit later. So what is Go International? Go International comprises both direct and indirect support measures. And for the implementation of the whole program, we from Advantage Austria are responsible. What is Advantage Austria? Advantage Austria is the foreign trade department of the Austrian Chamber Organization. And our USP is that we can offer our services to Austrian companies worldwide. We have our offices inside Austria in our regional chambers, and worldwide we have approximately 100 offices to support Austrian companies. Just a few words about the indirect support measures. Actually, I understood that many of the participants in this webinar are already participating in the Go USA program. So this is just a perfect example for what we are doing in the sphere of indirect support measures. In addition to that, we organize approximately 400 events, mainly abroad, but also within Austria. Don't be afraid, I'm not going to talk about 400 events now. I would like to focus on the direct support measures or direct grants, as we call it. And I think this is really more interesting for you, because here we are talking about co-funding of your expenses. Actually, we are talking about getting money back from us. We offer 5 direct grants. I assume that at the moment only the first 2, the Internationalisierungsprogramm and Digital Marketing Check, are interesting for you at the moment, but at least I would like to give you just short information on the other 3, at least that you should have heard about their existence. Just in case that some of you plan to participate in public procurements in the USA, for instance, public tenders run by the US Health Ministry, then please think about our project check. This will help you to co-finance, for instance, consulting costs. If you plan to open a foreign branch in the USA and you need further training measures for your employees, the Bildungscheck will co-finance some of these costs. And in case that you have a production site here in Austria and you need consulting in order to secure your supply chain, then the sourcing check would be the right one for you. I'm going to focus now more on the Internationalisierungsprogramm and Digital Marketing Check, because these 2 grants are really here in order to support you with your market entry plans in the USA. For all of our checks, there are 4 criteria that you have to meet in order to apply for our grants. First of all, you need to be an active member of the Austrian Chamber Organization. Secondly, your company must be located in Austria, and you have either a production site or you do research and development, so it won't be a problem for you to show or to provide the creation of value in Austria. And also the services and products that you are going to export to the USA must be already available on the market. On the next slide, I would like to give you more details about the Internationalisierungsprogramm. This is our classical market entry. Yeah, the classical market entry support that we can provide. In addition to the preconditions, to the criteria that I've been already talking about in the last slide, for the Internationalisierungsprogramm, you also must be new to market in the USA. What does that mean? That means that until now, you must not have any ongoing business in the US. So you are not yet active on the US market. How much money can you get from us? We can offer you a refund of 50% of your eligible net costs, and the maximum payout amount is 10,000 euros. If you meet the criteria for a bonus, I will talk about the bonus a little bit later, the maximum payout amount can be increased up to 12,500. What are eligible costs? To make it short, they are external market entry costs. Just to give you a few examples, for instance, if you do offline marketing, like for instance, the design and the production, the print of flyers, brochures, etc. And what I think is very interesting for you, we also fund your travel expenses. Please pay attention to the fact that travel expenses are capped. That means that the maximum payout amount for travel expenses is limited to 4,000 euros. What also might be interesting for you, because we heard a lot about, for instance, the USA Investment Summit. If you would like to participate there or at other events that are important for your market entry in the US, these costs are also fundable. Just one word about costs that are not eligible for funding. One example are the participation fees if you participate in the Go USA program, because this is a program that is already being co-financed by Go International, and it's not allowed to have a kind of double funding of costs. The next check that I would like to introduce to you is the digital marketing check. And you can apply for the digital marketing check at the same time as for the Internationalisierungsprogramm. You can have them at the same time. And I highly recommend you to apply for this one as well, because in the Internationalisierungsprogramm, we co-fund only the offline marketing measures. For all kinds of online marketing, digital marketing, we offer you the digital marketing check. Like, for instance, advertising campaigns on marketplaces like Google, or social media campaigns on Facebook, LinkedIn, well, you name it. And also fundable are costs for the design or translation of content that you use for your adverts and posts for your online campaigns. The maximum payout amount here is 7,500. Again, it's 50% of your eligible costs. With a bonus, you can get even 10,000 euros. And now finally, I'm going to talk about the bonus. As far as, well, I assume that many of you who participate in this webinar are working in the field of high technologies, you are so-called high-tech companies. And therefore, I assume that many of you have already published patents, or you get funding from the Austrian Research Promotion Organization, FFG. If this is the case, you are eligible for getting a bonus, a technology bonus, and this means that the maximum payout amount is increased by 2,500 euros. Let's give me an example. If you apply for the Internationalisierungsprogramm and you're eligible for the bonus, the maximum payout amount will be 12,500. In order to use the full amount of 12,500, you need to provide 25,000 euros of costs, eligible costs, so that you can use the full 12,500. All the details, all the information is published on our website. Can you see this? Yes, on our website. And I think this is actually the most important slide of my presentation, because I want to invite you to have a look at our website. Here you find all the essential information like our guidelines, checklists, and so on. But The really important thing is that on the website, you find the contact details of my colleagues and the regional chambers. Like, for instance, if your company is based in Vienna, please contact Peter Meyerhofer. He knows everything about Go International, and he can also give you some hints and help you with technical issues when you start your application process in the so-called Förderkonto. That's already the end of my presentation. I thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, we will be happy to work with you, and we're looking forward to your applications. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adele. Now I hand over to Victoria for the Go USA Landing Zone program.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me. My name is Victoria Liedl. I'm with our Advantage Austria office in New York. And you have heard the buzzword Go USA now a couple of times from Adele. And I would like to very briefly introduce you to this program now. We've been running this program now for the third year. Before it was the Go Silicon Valley program, so it might ring a bell for some of you already. So together with our San Francisco office, we're offering for Austrian startups a landing zone program in the US. And each and every year, we're offering this program in 3 different locations. As you have heard before already in this webinar, it's very important to really choose the right location for your startup. Not every location in the US is strong in every industry. And that's why this year we chose the 3 locations, which is Silicon Valley, where we cover tech and investment. We chose Atlanta for automotive, mobility, and logistics. Why Atlanta? I don't know, some of you might have heard that many of the car manufacturers actually moved down to the southeast, and Atlanta is a really nice hub to really penetrate the southeast. And then we've had that in the past 2 years already with our Boston program for life science and the health sector, where we offer 6 startups the opportunity to participate in the Go USA program. So what's the Go USA program? As I said, it's a landing zone initiative offered by the Federal Economic Chamber. And each and every year, up to 20 to 22 startups get the opportunity to spend up to 4 weeks in the US. And why does it say here 2 + 2? It's because the program contains of 2 intensive workshop weeks where you learn the essentials for US market entry, like legal questions, tax questions. For instance, if you're in the health field, how to manage the FDA. But also there is going to be an opportunity for networking and to make strategic contacts. And then the additional 2 weeks, you're gonna still have the possibility to stay at the co-working space in the location you choose, one of the 3 I mentioned in my earlier slide, and to just strengthen the partnerships you made in the first 2 weeks and to enlarge them. We've heard several times already how important it is to know people. And I know it's even more important in the US than it is in Austria because it's such a huge country. And the more people you meet, the better, or the more opportunities you have to get help and to find the right partners, clients, and maybe even investors. Just a quick overview of the timeline. We are currently in the application phase. I will, after my presentation, share with you the link where you can apply for the Go USA program. You have until end of May to apply. After end of May, beginning of June, we will pre-select the top 30 to 35 startups. These startups will get an online pitch training. And then after the online pitch training, there will be an online pitching day. And out of this pitching day, we're going to choose the 20 to 22, 25. It really depends on the strengths of the startups. for our Go USA program. Over the summer, the mentoring phase will already start, and end of summer, end of August, beginning of September, we will have our so-called onboarding masterclass in Austria, most likely in Vienna, where we will have in-person workshops with all the startups, with all the Go USA startups. And then last but not least, because it's the largest part of our program, in fall, starting with Atlanta, we're going to start with the in-person events in the US. Atlanta will start mid-September, San Francisco will be in October, and Boston will be in November. And as you can see here already, San Francisco is going to be at the same time as TechCrunch Disrupt. And also for the other two locations, we chose the timing so that you will be able to go to a tech or innovation conference there. And then my last slide, I would like to invite you to register. You can either scan the QR code, or as I said, I will also share the link to the registration and more information after my presentation. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, or we have after the webinar also a few minutes for Q&As. So thank you, giving back to Lisa.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you for giving us information about the Go USA landing zone. So one of the services we provide here in Austria for your expansion towards the US markets. And now, last but not least, another support service by the Enterprise Europe Network. And I hand over to Victoria.
Thank you, Lisa. It's another Victoria here. So let me take a few minutes to tell you more about the Enterprise Europe Network and how we support you to create meaningful connections and to explore opportunities internationally. If you haven't heard of the Enterprise Europe Network before, we are actually the largest business support network worldwide, and it's our goal to support ambitious companies to innovate and grow internationally. The name might suggest that we're active just in Europe, but that's actually not the case. We are active in more than 40 countries worldwide, and you can find us in over 400 organizations. You can find us in chambers of commerce, innovation agencies, or many other business support organizations in your region. And we're here to help you to connect the dots. We do have a lot of knowledge and experience gathered in our network, which we want to make available to you. And we see ourselves as your one-stop shop for innovation in your region, and we are here to help you. We want to contact every one of you. So it's all companies at all stages, all sizes from all industries. And the key topics that we're working on with our companies that we support are from the fields of internationalization, innovation, sustainability, and access to finance. But our services very much depend on what your needs and challenges are. So we are able to provide our services and our advisory to you tailor-made according to your needs. Let me give you an example of how this could look like. So let's say, as we are in this webinar, you're a startup or scale-up who wants to expand the business to the US, or it could be also any other markets in any other country. Then we, with the Enterprise Europe Network, could support you by reflecting your innovation and the market potentials in the country, let's say in the US, for example. And we would also provide you with information on regulations and laws that are important to keep in mind. We also support you to formulate a funding strategy to not miss out any of the funding opportunities that are available to you. And as we are a huge network and we love to connect and network among innovators, we also like to, or we would provide you information and a network among other business partners to find new business partners, new research partners, or any new relevant experts in the country. You heard a lot of information from my colleagues and partners in this call. We would, of course, connect you with these partners, but also any partner or any network that's relevant for you when you are targeting a new market. But these are just some examples for our services that we provide We also talk a lot about intellectual property rights, and we support companies, for example, when it's about professionalizing their corporate sustainability and so on. There are many, many examples. But as I said, all of our services are tailor-made to your needs. So it depends on what your needs are, and we will support you accordingly to connect dots for you and with you. It's our job to be here for you and to support you in taking the right steps at the right time. So this is your call to action to reach out to us. We are here to help you, and also all of the services all of the services that we provide are offered free of charge, but they are high of value. So please make use of that. Make use of the Enterprise Europe Network. My colleague Lisa Maria, who is moderating the sessions, and me, we are both from Austria, but if you're from any other country, we are happy to connect you with our colleagues and your regional contact point. I will take 1 more minute to tell you something about another EU program, which is by the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, because they have also a great scaling program that could be interesting for maybe some of you. They target neuroscience startups in growth stage. So if you consider yourself as a neurotech startup who wants to scale globally, especially in the East Coast of the US and the Canadian markets, make sure to apply to this scaling program until the 4th of July. So you have the opportunity to access a lot of personal guidance and support during this program. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact Ido Rosenblum. You will have the contacts also in this slide, and I'm sure you will receive the slides afterwards. Thank you very much, and back to Lisa.
Thank you very much, Victoria. This was the Enterprise Europe Network, and we are now sharing one last initiative for you, also regarding the US market. And for this initiative and opportunity, I hand over to Robbie one more time to give us some insights about the South Carolina market.
Yes, so the Department of Commerce of South Carolina got to know about our great virtual webinar and expressed their interest in supporting our startup audience. And so, and actually they are one of the many economic development offices in the US. And this particular office in South Carolina, their representatives are listening in right now, and we just, they would just like to share their contact information with you in case you are interested in contacting them directly to get to know what the Department of Commerce of South Carolina, what they offer to the startup community. So feel free to reach out to them directly.
Thank you very much, Robbie. So as you can see, there are many opportunities which all can help you and definitely will help you when you think of expanding to the US market. We are now already at the end of our webinar. We are here for some last call to actions. If you want to be competitive on the international market, means you also have to be resilient. So the Enterprise Europe Network calls for the Resilience Awareness Month, and we organize 6 online sessions weekly in May and the beginning of June. In short, morning webinars. Each webinar starts at 9 o'clock every Wednesday. Feel free to join our Resilience Awareness Month sessions. And also, where can you actually meet us in person? Vienna Up 2024 is calling, is also approaching fastly, actually. In June, first week of June, there's the Decentralized Startup event, one of the largest startup events in Europe, and 3 of the matchmaking events I've highlighted here, where most of the partners today here are also part of: Connect Day, Lead Today, Shape Tomorrow, which is exclusively for female entrepreneurs, and the Gigabit Beyond event. So we look forward to meeting you also in person. And now we are coming to the Q&A session. We will check the chat whether there are some questions. And last but not least, the final reminder that you can win a free ticket for the SelectUSA Investment Summit in June. You will get all the information about the admission criteria, the application form, and all the initiatives we talked about today in an email. So when you participated today here in this webinar, you will also receive an email with all the information. We very much look forward to your application. We very much look forward to support you in your expansion plans. And I don't see any relevant questions regarding the entire audience. So thank you very much again for joining us today. And I wish you a good afternoon. Thank you very much for all the partners who helped us and supported us with this webinar. And all the best. And keep your business up, and we wish you all the best for your expansion. Thank you very much for joining.